Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tony Pellegrino. This is live tech talk that we do every Tuesday and Thursday, this being Thursday, September 9th. Thank you for everybody for joining us. If you've never caught this program before, it is awesome. We're going to talk about your favorite subject and mine, you think, and how to build them, what's involved today in particular. We're really going to talk about building a Jeep because we're going to show you what it takes to install a JK Elite suspension system on your JK. So we've got a lot to talk about today. I did want to mention, for those of you that got your blue Tech Talk shirt, like the one that I'm wearing, I need you guys to check your email. We've been sending out a few emails to you guys, and you want to check to make sure those are not going to your junk email, because we've had a few questions in there and a couple other things, but we can tell that you have not opened them. So please check for that and make sure that you've got that active and that it's not going to your junk mail. Today's topic, like I said, is we've got many questions about what's involved with putting on a JK Elite. It's actually incredibly simple. So we're going to talk about that in great detail. As always, we welcome your questions and comments. Today, I've got Debbie, Alex, and Jamie here to help me pull off this show. So they'll be reading questions on both Facebook and YouTube. So we'll get lots of stuff going. Our featured product is going to be our JK Elite kit. So we're just going to skip over that right now, and we're going to get right to the meat of it, right? All of you know my Terramoto 4-door JK, and this has been my trail rig for 8 years now. It's raced King of the Hammers. It has this exact same off-the-shelf kit on it, and we're talking about everything: steering, axles, suspension, shocks. Every single piece of it is off the shelf. So what you're buying is of the highest level of quality, heavy duty, everything. So if you haven't considered this kit, you certainly want to. And one of the things that I want to emphasize is, the shocks on this, because you've got, nice quality coilover shocks, whether they're King or Fox, and hydraulic air bump stops. All the way around on this, that shock package can vary from like $800 to $9,500. So if you take that out of this kit, you take out the giant belly skid and the gas tank, the rest of the suspension kit is about the same price as a high-end TerraFlex, Rock Crawler, any of the other name brand suspensions out there. So we're really not overcharging you, especially for what you're getting, because this really optimizes all the suspension geometry and gives you that completely flat belly. So really a great way to go. Deb, anybody notable on there that you want to mention?
Yeah, we've got a lot of friends.
Or any questions so far?
A lot of friends on today. Several people have said they have not gotten the survey.
Wow, okay.
And so they may want to check their spam mail just in case.
For sure, because I know Val has sent out 2 different ones with a ton of good information and special offers. And we can see that only 8% of the people have opened it.
Well, there's probably something going on with that, because there's a lot of people. So I don't know why that would be if they get the regular newsletter.
So, I don't know.
Kelly Sims is with us today.
Nice.
Anthony Paquette, Craig Colbert.
Cool.
Zach Guptill, Rick Harrington, Deborah Carnell, Sam Walker.
Awesome.
Michael Garrity, Esther Parrott Newcomb. Let's see.
Lots of the regulars. That's awesome.
Yeah, Jeff Long.
Mike, is it hot out there in Arizona?
Scott Murphy, Richard Garrett.
Nice.
Bobby Bolomi. Lots of our friends.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This will be a good one, and I expect a lot of questions on this, because I'm really going to break this down to show how simple we made this and how well engineered it is. So yeah, let's keep going on this. All right. So You've all heard about the kit. You can see this on our website. This is a quick breakdown of the bare minimum that would come in the kit, right? So you've got the front cross member, rear cross member. Those are what the links tie to and go down to the axle brackets, and then the shock towers. So this is kind of the base kit right here. And of course, as many of you know, we offer this so that you can do it in stages, just like we showed you on Genesis, that's in the gallery on our website. So if you want to work toward this without breaking the bank, you can do that over time as well. And if you need more help on that, just call in and talk to our guys as always, because I've got guys sitting over there. Okay. One of the things that I want to show you guys is that, and can you see this right now, Alex? When you order our kit, you get this binder. It's about 46 pages. And this binder has all the diagrams you need to put on your kit, right? This is, guys, this is a completely pre-configured kit. So you literally set the links to certain measurements, and you put the axle brackets on in certain places, you know, and it's about as foolproof as you can get. And part of the reason we did that was our first suspension was what we call our Legend kit, which was a builder's kit. Well, that took a really experienced person to figure out, you know, all the lengths of everything and how high to set the shock towers. And we realized quickly that not everybody needs that kind of flexibility. So when we introduced the Elite kit, we made it so that it went on one way. You do everything set the way that we tell you to do it, and you can literally slip a piece of cardboard between the rear axle and the gas tank and the drag leg and tie rod and track bar. So it's all set right there, and you don't have to check or cycle anything. Once you put it on, if you put it on exactly how the instructions say, you're set. So all that said, the whole kit is designed to be put on in your garage. That's one of the basic things when you buy something from GenRight is I want to make sure that any guy can do it, and or gal, if she's so motivated, in their garage, and you do not have to remove the body. That's an option. If you have the ability to do that, it will make it easier, but you do not have to do that, okay? It'll just mean that you've got to work overhead to cut off a lot of stuff instead of being able to get up on top and work. So it's not the end of the world, totally doable. Don't feel like you need a shop to be able to do this. Oh, Debbie's got a question.
Esther Parrott Newcomb posted in the comments some helpful information on helping people locate their survey.
Oh, good.
And
thank you.
Our viewer Dave Curry said, very well done kit, finishing an install for a customer now, and I was very impressed by the engineering.
Nice, nice. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. More questions?
And Bobby Ballamy sent me instructions on how to pronounce his name correctly.
Oh, nice. I know we've only been doing it for like a year and a half wrong.
I remember next Tuesday. And please don't hesitate to remind me, Bobby.
Yeah, and we had, I don't know if Tom Erkey's watching, but he just dropped off his Jeep about 2 hours ago to have us do that new TJ to LJ kit.
Nice.
So I told him to stick around. He could be on the show, but he wanted to get back on the road and beat traffic. So
yeah, don't blame him.
Yeah, awesome. Really appreciate everybody watching. We're very grateful, and we hope all of you find this information very useful. And you know, the more feedback you give us, the more information I can deliver to you in the manner that you need it. So, what else you got?
Scott Morphy asked if the TJ or LJ suspension kit come with a similar package or binder.
Yes, in fact, so the binder that I'm holding here today is actually for the Tracer suspension. And I've also got an unbound version of the, this one's for the JK Elite. So, but you can see it's a thick package. So, yeah. Basically that's, even if you get our Legend suspension, which is a DIY or, you know, do-it-yourself builder's kit, that's going to come with a bunch of instructions like this. Now, the difference is that it's written so that it gives you a range. It'll say, you know, you need to decide how long you want this or where you want to put this, or, you know, so there's a lot more that can be read into it, and a lot of people get lost on that, all right? So when we came out with these kits, it's, and I'm going to show you in just a minute, how you line up holes on the frame with a dowel, and that's literally where you put it. There's no guesswork about, oh, is it a little this way, that way? It goes in one spot and that's it. So it makes it a lot easier. Yeah.
Zach Guptill, is there a pre-decided kit like this for the TJ? I know y'all have another kit coming out soon for the LJ wheelbase conversion.
So we do have the TJ tracer kit. And you'd have to talk to Jeff about that. Basically, it's a little bit different configuration than the LJ. But yes, that you can do that, so it's all kind of set standards. The other thing I know that a lot of my sales guys do is they can provide you with information. Say you look at something like our bow tie TJ, and you say, that's perfect, I want a 100-inch wheelbase, I want it to be just like that. Our guys can give you the measurements for that, and you literally build the links and you're set and ready to go. So we can take a lot of the guesswork out of it for you. So it just kind of depends on how much flexibility and freedom you want. Now, that said, when it comes to our Tracer or Elite, you get 0 flexibility. That's why we're always telling you, you know, we only recommend the Curry axles. Now, we have since then done brackets so that the Dynatrack axles can work with the Elite kit. But guys, it is super, super tight. That we've maximized every, you know, 1/16 of an inch of travel and everything out of these kits. So super important that you do not deviate from what we say, even right down to the shock length. You know, if you decide to put on a different brand shock, well, the whole kit is built around the compressed and extended length of a King shock. So we have our Fox shocks built to the same length. So if you start going with something else, well, it might travel more or less, and then there'll be a collision, and you could damage some of the components, and mostly what ends up getting damaged is your steering, and that's just dangerous. So we want to be real careful. We've got everything here in the studio on the floor today, so we're going to get to that in just a minute and show you all the different components. More questions, or keep going, Deb?
There are more questions.
Okay. So this is the same picture with the axles in it, so I'll leave that up on the screen for a minute while Deb's reading me questions.
Okay. Rick Harrington. So yesterday I ran the Elite kit through some tough challenge, 1 to 3 foot whoops at nearly 100 miles per hour. It took all I wanted to give it with the 3-inch Fox coilovers and LS. Ran lockers on in the rear.
Yeah, so that's important. You know, Rick is the gentleman that had his vehicle built by Oren down in Florida at Track and Trail. Very qualified builder, and you know, he's got race background, similar to my guys here in my shop. And what's important for everybody to know is if you want to go fast like that across rough terrain, you have to have power. That takes the full throttle approach, just like I do in the Terremoto, because what happens is the anti-squat that we have built in pushes the suspension down, and it's additionally helping to make sure that the suspension opens through every whoop, so you've got the full travel of the shock and all the dampening control is able to work. So there's a lot of dynamics that go with this, and you've all seen plenty of people that bought King shocks or bought certain components and put them on, and their Jeep still works like junk. Well, there's a reason for that, because it's not just about putting the components on your Jeep. They have to be mounted in the right position, the right angle. You know, all the valving has to be correct, the way the brackets are done. You know, I've seen some really cheesy stuff, and you know, people are lucky that they were just, you know, it was their first time out or going really slow, because if they were to go any faster, that whole thing would come apart. What else you got?
Mike Malash, is there a base kit for the 2008 JK, and what wheelbase did you design the kit to be?
So what we're talking about is the kit. Now, we also offer a bolt-in kit that's like a 3-inch, bolt-in, and that's also on our website, and that's in conjunction with Rock Jock and Curry, using a bunch of the Johnny joints and other components. It's a really nice kit. It's very high quality. We use all the Johnny joints on this kit as well. So what we're trying to do is give you a lower cost option, but it's not coilover. It's not fancy like this where you're optimizing everything. It's still got the regular skid plates on it and stuff, where this has got the flat belly. Remember, this flat belly gives you 3 extra inches right in the middle. So on the long wheelbase, 3 inches is like a mile. And to get that same amount of clearance, you'd have to go with a 6-inch taller tire. Okay, that's, I doubt anybody has the axles to run 6-inch taller tires. So this is a very inexpensive way to get that extra ground clearance right out of the middle, which increases your breakover. And not only does it increase your breakover, it is perfectly smooth. Okay, and that makes a huge difference, because that means if any tire's on the ground, you'll be able to drag yourself off that obstacle and be able to keep going. So yeah, we've actually got one right here. And this one here is the 6061 version. And as you can see, we leave this right on here. It says T651. So that means heat treated and stretch straightened. And this is 3/8 thick, and you can rest the entire Jeep on this. And it is very heavy duty. So quite a nice upgrade. More questions, Deb?
Yep. Tate Pereira, can you run 14-inch coilovers with the Elite kit?
So on this Elite kit, there's a couple of limiting factors, right? So in the front, there's a whole bunch of equipment mounted just above the inner fender wells. And what we did was we maximized the front suspension to run a 12-inch shock so that you didn't have to relocate that stuff. The rear runs a 14. Now, if you've ever watched a vehicle go off-road, what happens is the front will hit something. When the rear hits something, it tends to slap, so you actually want more travel in the rear. And guys, this is all part of why I went out and raced the Terremoto at something like KOH, so that you could see how well it performs, that it holds up, that it's easily, I beat 70 purpose-built, race cars. So there's a lot going on here that you can do in your own Jeep, that's really, nice. Basically, you have a buggy with a Jeep body. So pretty cool.
Von Huffman, 2012 JKU stock axles. Does the Elite kit require the gas tank to be moved to the rear?
It does. So an important part of getting the flat belly is to be able to move the gas tank from the center, but remember, that's the thing that's hanging down 3 inches, and get that to the rear. We offer a couple different options. We offer, your stock tank is about 20 gallons. We offer a 20 gallon, we offer a 25, and a 36 gallon tank for the back of this. All are great options. I offer some with steel skid plates, some with aluminum skid plates. They're great. So it just has a different price associated with all those. So and we also offer an LS motor mount combination for our Elite kit, or you can leave the factory engine and transmission just like Shane did in the Wolverine, or Kelly did in his Yellow Jacket. That's still got the standard 3.6 liter V6 automatic transmission. And for a while, Kelly had the factory Rubicon transfer case, and then later on upgraded to the Atlas. So those are all options. Now, that said, I know the next question coming is, can I leave my factory Rubicon 44s? The answer is yes, you can, but you are limited to a 37-inch tire max. Okay, and to do that, you're going to have to run a little bit more offset wheel than I prefer, because I like to run a backspace wheel that gives you less scrub radius. Okay, so it is all possible, and if you want to see that vehicle on 37s, it's on our website. It's called the Anvil JK, and it's on 37-inch tires. And that gentleman upgraded to RCV shafts. He did some upgrades to the Rubicon 44s, and it worked perfect. So it was fully functional, just maximum of a 37. All right, so here's another view where we've got all the new stuff put in. Now this still shows the factory crash bar in this picture. If you're going to run our ultra clearance bumper, that would have to be removed. That's what we're talking about, is this little guy right here. And we always keep the full frame. I like these points. That's where our toe point's attached to. And, you know, as I've talked about before, you can flat tow your vehicle from that, but those are very, very solid anchor points. So good view of kind of everything tucked in there on the factory frame. Now, this is the meat of it. This is what I wanted to get to. Okay, so what we're looking at, remember I just showed you these two front points. In color, these are the things you're going to remove from your factory frame. And when I say remove, that means cut off, okay? Now you can cut these off with a thin cut-off wheel, which can be air or electric operated. What we usually do is we score them, and then you can whack them with a hammer and they'll break off, and then you carefully grind what's left down. Remember, your frame is only 1/8 inch thick, okay? So you do not want to be digging into that with a cutoff wheel or a plasma cutter or any of that stuff. You want to preserve the factory frame the best you can. If anything, I want you to leave extra meat and carefully grind down to the frame so that you can't even tell there was a bracket originally there. Okay, so these are the shock buckets. You've got your control arm mounts. These are the uppers. You've got some other pieces here, and then of course the front cross member that needs to come completely off. Any questions on this, Deb?
Zach Uptill, so for performance, it makes sense to just take the time to figure out the builder's kit the right way.
So the builder's kit is really designed for the guy that calls up and says, you know, I want to run a 14 bolt. I want to run a Sterling. I want to, you know, do this, do that. Like the things that are completely outside of what we recommend. They're the ORI guys. Okay. So if you want to do your own thing, man, God bless you. I'm all for it. Part of the fun of owning a Jeep is building it. And I encourage you to build it however you want. We make all the brackets universal, and you can go to town and have a great time. If you don't want to mess around and you just want to be able to get your Jeep in the garage, you know, cut this stuff off and get the new stuff on, then this is the way to go. Okay, it takes all the guesswork. What's that? Oh, so, you know, the Legend kit is really a great way to go for the TJ because we offer a very flat belly for that. The whole kit is universal. So it does take a little bit of figuring out, and it does allow you to run a variety of other components. So if you've got some strange engine or transmission, or, you know, like I said, other axles, then that gives you the widest variety of being able to fit it up on your Jeep and allow you to stretch it as much as you can. Because remember, we make a 9-inch stretch tank, a 7-inch stretch tank, a 5-inch stretch tank. So that's all in the rear, and then you can move the front on a TJ forward up to 4 inches with our twisted pitman arm. So again, today we're kind of talking about the JK Elite. I wanted to show everybody how easy it was to install this. If you've got a TJ or LJ or something else, you really want to call in and talk to our sales guys because they can give you a lot more information on the specifics of that too. What else you got?
Danny Ashley, I have a question about extended bump stops on an Elite equipped 2012 JKU on 40s LS3. Is it common to have to add some, or should I double check my setup? Bump stops.
Yeah, so if you've you know, bought all the stuff from us, right? You didn't source it from other suppliers, right? Because we've got our own spec for a lot of these parts, and you put it all in exactly how we're gonna show you in just a second, then you don't have to double check any of that. I'm not a fan of bump stop extensions because you're literally limiting travel. We've designed all this to maximize the travel. And by the way, you know, one of our kits, this Elite kit with, you know, 14-inch rears and 12-inch fronts will stretch on the RTI ramp to almost 1,100. So you're anything over 1,000 is no slouch. So, you know, this is very, very capable. Again, I've run this in the 4,400 class. That's the unlimited class at King of the Hammers. This is against purpose-built, unlimited vehicles, and been able to finish in a Jeep. So you're really talking about a very, very capable system. So in the rear, you're going to leave this one, and you're going to take out these, and again, the rear shock buckets, couple of suspension mounts, and track bar mounts. So again, it's not that complicated. You're going to leave this one, and this one are all left in there, and all your body mounts, right? That's all stuff that stays. So again, if you leave the body on, you're just doing this from the bottom side, right? You're going to have it'll still be there and attached, and you can get to everything, so it's not a huge deal. Questions on this, Deb, or we doing okay?
Let's see. Zach Guptill, slightly unrelated question. He's had 10 different people ask about the tire carrier on his campus. They all loved it once they understood how it was all set up.
Yeah, the tire carrier, if you haven't ever checked that out yourself up close, it's a 4-point mounted tire carrier, all on urethane, so it won't rattle, it won't squeak, and it will not open by itself. I learned the hard way. I bought several other tire carriers. Every single one failed on my Jeep, and that's when I was done, and I said, all right, we're making our own. So a lot of people complain about having to pull the pins, but those pins are your lifeline. That is what keeps it from opening by itself and keeps it from rattling. So it's the best one on the market. Yeah.
Cord Killinger, what changes will an Elite kit need for 42 tires? Asking for a friend.
So actually there's no changes needed. What you're going to have to do is change the body a lot, right? You're going to be trimming a lot to clear those new bigger tires. Or you will have to extend the bump stops, which means you can either, on the Elite, the best thing to do would be to increase the height of the bump pad, would be the easiest thing. And yeah, I mean, the suspension is already set for it. It's really about the tub and the body of what's left. So to make it clear for everything. Okay. All right, so here's a view of that flat belly. So the kit's been installed. We've been looking at CAD images. Now we're looking at one that we built in our shop. And this is the front axle up the top, and this is the rear axle on the bottom. But you can see the gas tank in the back. So this guy got the aluminum skid, 25-gallon tank. Then there's the aluminum belly skid. You can see how it runs right up to the cross members. The rear cross members hiding right here. And really, really clean, nice kit. I mean, certainly, you know, you can see the double triangulated in the rear. Just very, very nice and well done. Let's see what else we got here. Here's another view of, now this frame's already been modified, right, with all of our parts. We've left the factory bumper mounts and this tube in here, and then the other couple of cross members that we showed you are still there. Now that it's all been powder coated, it's kind of hard to see. This one does have the factory motor mount still left, so this will be assembled as a 6-cylinder. And you can kind of see the whole thing there with the Curry axles. And you can see, you know, with everything collapsed, I mean, look at the amount of up travel. You know, the track bar is right below the bottom of the frame. You know, the axle comes up inside the frame. I mean, there's a lot going on that is not obvious when the vehicle's sitting at ride height. More questions?
Corey Lone Wolf Picard, do you offer a set of motor mounts that you would recommend for an LS swap? I have a custom built front and rear suspension I designed myself, so not sure if your motor mounts would work for my system as yours is designed for your suspension.
So I'll step off screen here and I'll show you a couple right now. I'll just bring them up. What we did is, this is the passenger side and this is the driver's side. So what we do is we shift the whole motor over toward the passenger side to allow for the upper link to come up inside this. You can see in the picture right here, you know, this motor mount will be sitting right there. So that upper link has got to have somewhere to go. This really puts the motor in the proper location. We've done a ton of these builds, and this is all 1/4 inch thick. I mean, it's beefy, it's urethane, and it comes with the other part that mounts to the side of the LS. These are really well made, and I believe it would put the motor in the right spot. In fact, if it didn't, I'd move the other stuff to make sure that those worked. So, okay, what else you got?
Zach Guptill, are all of your parts for a full build from suspension to body armor to interior all assembled together in SolidWorks to make sure it all works?
They are. We work from the factory CAD files. We're one of the few people in the industry that actually has the ability to do that. We've got a great relationship with Jeep. I'm the only person I know in the whole industry that's actually been to the proving grounds in Michigan, where, you know, I was asked for my opinion on certain things, and you know, we're very well connected in that regard. So our ability to work with Jeep and even be able to bounce things back and forth and talk about, you know, where to mount this, where to do that. The other thing I can tell you is all of the Jeep engineers that I know at Jeep all have full GenRight Jeeps. So yeah, it's needless to say, it's very well accepted back there. There might even be some watching right now, so they can chime in.
Paul Kulik, probably not optimal, but since money tends to be the limiting factor, can you upgrade the front with the Elite and do the rear the following year, or vice versa?
Yeah.
Or is there a better option stage to do it? I have a 2012 JKU stock axles on 37 Mickey Thompsons.
Yeah. You're going to want to check out our gallery with the JK that's called the Genesis. That Jeep was built in stages, and it's still only in the second stage. So it's still missing the coilover shocks. So it's still on coils. You know, the first way it was built, it was still on the 44s. Then they moved up in the axles. So the last stage will be the coilovers. Also call in, talk to Andrew Harris on our sales desk. He's super well versed in all the steps and what order they should be done in. We're here to help you guys. I mean, that's one of the things that you guys should come to know about GenRight is we know what we're doing, and I've got people there to help you walk through that process. So definitely understand the whole affordability thing, and that was part of the reason that we broke this kit up, so that we could make it affordable for people to be able to do it in stages. Okay.
Corey Lone Wolf commented that he's got a cracked block, so that's why he's asking about the LS swap stuff. And he also wants to know, is it possible to do a flat belly with using the factory fuel tank?
Nope. No, so what you gotta, if I back up, I'll show you. So the front cross member hangs down, okay? So in order to put the flat belly on, that has to go away, and the gas tank has to go away. Those are the two things that have got to go away. Now, just like we're showing you in this picture, this flat belly skid attaches to the rear cross member and the front cross member. Not just everybody's else's in the industry just attaches to the side. Ours goes all the way around. This is a critical component to the entire suspension. And it's a big part of what gives it its strength. And all of this stuff is 1/4 inch thick. I mean, this is the beefy stuff that you'd want. I mean, this is the backbone of your entire suspension. So you don't want it, you know, the factory brackets are like less than 1/8 inch thick. I mean, that stuff is just cheesy. And if you look underneath your Jeep, it's probably already bashed and smashed. And, you know, even if you go to bend it back, you can see that it starts cracking, you know, and you can only do that a couple of times and then it just snaps off in your hand. So, yep.
Casey Henderson, already running UD60s on my JKU, but still on RK X Factor arms. Want to move to the Elite kit. What are my limitations keeping the UD60 axles?
Yeah, you're going to have to bump out, which means limit your travel, because you're not able to get as much up travel with those axles. It's mostly the front axle. The rear is not ideal, but it's not your limiting factor. It's going to be the rear, or sorry, the front is going to be the limiting factor, because without the rolled back diff cover, as I showed you in this next picture, right? Look at there's the track bar. I don't know, how close can you zoom in, Alex? So there's the track bar. This is a factory frame component, right? The rollback cover allows us to put the upper link mount just behind that stuff, okay? If you don't have the rollback cover, where do you think all that stuff's going? You're gonna have to bump way before that to stop everything. So one of the things that I don't believe in is I don't like big bent track bars. Those bends weaken the track bar and they end up breaking off right there, honestly. So we try and keep our track bar straight, or as straight as possible. And you can see the track bar literally touches right on the diff cover, and then, you know, it's right behind this frame member. So again, everybody understand, you know, we've 100% optimized this, and you couldn't slip a piece of cardboard between all that stuff. So this is really, really dialed in. What else you got?
One of our top fans, Rick Rudell, said he's currently saving up for his Elite JL.
Nice, nice. That's the first ones are already through production, the chassis, and you know, obviously I'm running mine. We've even made a few upgrades. I mean, everything we do is just getting better and better. So I'm super excited about that. I think it's going to be a huge hit. So. And the JL is even better than this, right? So it bumps another 1.5 inches deeper than this, the JL does. So this is great, and the JL is even better. So, so anyways, hopefully this image right here really answers that question about using other axles, because this is what it's all about right here, okay? All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, this was my next one. So this is our big 36-gallon tank, and you can see how the sway bar, it's notched out for the rear sway bar. It takes the factory fuel pump module, and then you plumb all that up like normal. So yeah, this is how it all fits in the back, but you can get a full 36-gallon gas tank back there. Pretty darn cool. More questions, Deb, or are you doing okay?
Our top fan, Zach Guptill, asked, do almost all frame side brackets have to be removed to put this type of suspension on the JK?
Yeah, there'll be 3 factory cross members left, one in the front, one in the middle, and one in the very back. So here's a good example of, I liked this picture because you can see the black part is untouched on the frame, and then where it's clean is where we've mounted the brackets. And you can see the track bar mount goes right over these 2 holes on the steering box. Now the factory one is further back. We actually moved the front axle 2 inches forward to give the JK Elite a 118-inch wheelbase. Then you mount the bump can and the shock tower. And you can see, remember I told you about all this stuff up in the inner fender well that's associated with the factory computer, anti-lock brake system. There's a ton of stuff in here. We've maximized that shock tower as high as it can go inside there. So yeah, we've really, and then of course we've incorporated limit strap tabs. I mean, this is really super simple to get that in. Now, the other thing is a lot of people might say, and you could see, you know, here are the bodies on this one. You could say, well, you know, I don't trust my own welds. What you could do is tack a lot of this stuff in place and then hire a welder to come in and just finish weld everything too. So that's always an option. By the way, you can also get a rolling chassis from us, so that all this stuff's just done, and then you just transfer over the motor and the body. Okay, so here's the rear section. So what's hard to see is that we've already got the big cross member is mounted in here. We've cleaned all this off because right now what we're going to do is we're going to cut through here and then install the shock tower. So that you didn't have to cut this bracket off the frame because that whole section is going away.
Hey, Tone.
Yep.
Got a couple more questions. Dan with Alien Fab 4x. Hi, great info. Thank you. What's better in mounting the front coilovers in the axle straight up and down or at an angle outwards to the knuckles?
Yeah, the outward, you need a little bit of an angle on those front shocks. Straight up and down just doesn't work. You want the spring and dampening control out as wide as you can get it. But you can't, if you have the shock stand up straight, when it articulates, the tire is going to get into the top of the shock. So if you angle the shock a little bit, the tire can articulate and clear everything. Again, guys, this is like when we talk about our builder's kit, this is something where you would need to put everything together, get your tires on, you'd have to cycle your suspension. So now you got to come up with jacks or straps or something to be able to articulate, a heavy front axle with tires on it. And then in addition to that, you got to turn them. So now you got to get it up, turn both ways, go the other way, turn both ways. It makes a lot of work. All this is figured out. We've already done all this in the computer and in real life to make sure that it all works. So we've really got that part figured out. But yeah, good question. Okay, so here is the bottom view, right? So this is that same piece that I was just showing you. What you'll do is you'll cut through right here. You use this cross member that's already been welded into place as your guide. And then the shock tower goes right in. So actually really, really simple to do. Okay. This is the rear cross member and the front cross member now shown in the frame. This tube here happens to be an actual fluorescent light that the guys use, so that's not part of the kit. But yeah, you can see how it's all reinforced. It's double wall, got gussets on it. It's all beefed up all the way around, and we're going to talk about those components here on the floor in a minute. Okay, and there's that one factory cross member in the middle we left.
Hey, Tone.
Yep.
Top fan Corey Lone Wolf Picard says he has a different cross member on his, incorporating his links like the same dimensions. So might have to do some redesigning and moving things around to build a flat belly and get a different tank as well.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're already, so far down the road, yeah, you're going to have to maybe figure some stuff out. But that flat belly, trust me, it's worth working toward for sure. Yep.
I do.
Okay.
Do you have more? Do you have some?
A couple on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you use Artex skid plates with the Elite Kit?
So the question was, can we use the Artex skid plates with the Elite Kit? The answer is no. The Artex skid plates are designed to protect all the factory stuff. Okay, that factory stuff will be gone. The factory tank is gone. The way that the transmission and everything is mounted is gone. So you're just going to list those on Craigslist and get your money back out of them and end up going with our stuff. So, okay.
Do you use narrow Johnny joints or the traditional?
We use the standard Johnny joints. They actually distribute the load a little bit wider. I've got one right here. So the narrow ones are quite a bit more narrow, which means that the impact load is in a smaller area. So we like this one. We're well within the range of rotation on these. And, this is what we've run for, heck, we've been running these for 16, 20 years. Yeah. I mean, this is a great product. Rock Jock is the company that sells these, division of Curry. And they've got the durometer down. They've got everything on these down. And it's really a great product. So.
And And John Kendall asked, which welds are the most difficult to get to with the body on?
Yeah, that's a great question. It has to do with, are you ready to tilt down? Okay. Alex is going to back up just a little bit, and we're going to show you on the parts we have here on the ground. Okay. So, Alex, can you get in this area here? So once the rear cross member is put in, it gets installed from the bottom. Then you're going to cut through and mount this tower inside. So to do that, you actually have to cut a hole in the inner fender, which isn't a big deal. But what you do is you overcut just a little bit so that you can get in here and weld around the inside. Likewise, that goes with the top here. If you know, from the bottom, you can get a weld in around, but otherwise, ideally, you'd like to have a weld up here, right, where it meets the frame. But again, all this is super beefy, so we're really going overboard on all this. Same on the upper shock mounts, they go over the top of the frame, so it'd be nice to be able to get to that. So those are really the main things that make it a little bit more difficult to get to with the body on. And also, that doesn't mean that for that portion that you need to do, that you couldn't pop some body bolts loose, jack that up just, a foot and get in there. Yeah, and then be able to do that. So, all right, what other questions we got?
Dylan, do you have any more, James?
No.
Okay.
I'll stay down here.
Dylan Morkey, I already have a Super Duty 60 and a 14 bolt under my 09 JKU.
Yeah.
Can I retain those with the Elite kit?
So you can, but just like I showed you a minute ago, by the time you put your bridge and everything on the front axle, the rear axle, you're going to have to cycle everything and make sure that nothing collides, right? You might have to bump it out, or you might have to shrink it up a little bit. The rear should be fine. You should be maybe some minor trimming, but the front is going to be where the issue is with the track bar and the frame. So just kind of the way it goes. What's that? Self-clearancing. Yeah, you can just go over the first few big bumps. Jamie did that once. Yeah. What else you got?
Scott Morphy, does the Tracer and the new Tracer TJ to LJ kit have this nice flat belly?
It does. In fact, the Tracer was the first purpose-built suspension designed around an LS-V8 and a 4L80 transmission, where we moved the driveline back and down. So we lowered the center of gravity of the vehicle, made allowances for everything we just showed you there on the screen so that the front axle could come up. That has a lot of up travel, or you can make the vehicle sit very low, like the Silver Surfer or Maximus on our website. Again, in the gallery section, we got a ton of vehicles with the Tracer kit that you can take a look at. So, yeah, works good.
Rick Premu asked if our fuel tanks will pass California smog requirements.
Yeah, Big Rick. Okay, so the way it works is this. Our tanks are carb compliant. So we reuse all of the factory fuel pump, evap systems, everything. Now, if you don't hook it up the right way, it's going to throw a code. But I'm telling you, if you hook it up the right way, and when they plug in, they'll never even know it's there. Now, would I walk around and show the smog guy and say, hey, check out my aftermarket tank? I wouldn't do that. Just shut up, and it's invisible. You'll go right through.
Richard Garrett asked, what should he build next?
Well, that's a good question.
There's a lot of viewer opinions on that.
I'm sure. I mean, we've gone through this for myself a bunch of times. If I was going to build something else, I'd probably build LJ Tracer. But, I mean, the four-door JK, that 118-inch wheelbase, I mean, I've bopped right up back door 9 times in a row, so I don't know. Hard to say.
Jeff Barnard, I relocated my evap canister with the metal cloak mount. Will it have to be moved back to stock position with the Elite system?
No, actually, that's a good question. And I don't know if we had it in one of these pictures, but we relocate the evap canister. It gets turned, so it's not on the stock mount anymore. It's completely, you're throwing that bracket away, but you're still using the canister. But it gets relocated across from the muffler. But no, the guard, the bracket, all that stuff will be gone. So
We're getting a really bright glare in the upper left corner of the TV.
Better?
I think it's this light.
better.
There, that's better.
Okay.
That's better. Okay.
All right.
Tara Ritz, what is the purpose of moving the track bar 2 inches forward? Hope that's not a dumb question.
No, it's not a dumb question. What happens is that when you run a bigger tire, you're filling the fender well, right? So when you turn, that the tire physically gets bigger because it's going at an angle, right? So in order to keep the edge of the tire from burying into the fender, we slide the front axle forward a couple inches. We're not relocating the steering box. That's a very important part. I don't like to do that on any of my suspensions, whether it's a Legend, a Tracer, or an Elite. I like to leave the steering box right where it is. We're able to do everything we need to without doing that. So we can accomplish all the rest of the stuff with our twisted pitman arm or with our steering kit. And, you know, we also go to a high steer in all these things that I was showing you. You know, we go back to this image here where you can see the tie rod's been moved up, and then actually the drag link's not on here, but that would be even higher. So yeah, that's an important part of, you know, making it so you're not bashing into your steering all the time. Your stock steering, by the way, is mounted down here on this ear. So it's way down there. This is, you know, clearly like 4 inches higher. Yeah.
Deborah Carnell, price-wise, is the rolling chassis more economical?
Well, it depends on your personal capability. So we offer the rolling chassis in a few different ways. Basically, you need to think of the rolling chassis as we've done all the heavy lifting, right? So I don't know if you've ever seen a Dana 60 or Dana 70 axle, but they're not light. Like, we move them around here on special stands over the forklift. So you at home would have to move it around on like an engine hoist. So they're heavy, they're hard to kind of handle. And, you know, if you're worried about your ability to attach any of these new suspension components to the frame, then we do it all. And it's all done by the same guys that build our race cars, right? So if you want to think of that as the heavy lifting, then what we can do is leave the rest up to you. You can plumb the gas lines, you can plumb the brake lines, you can plug back in all the electrical, you know, you put your motor and tranny back in and then drop your body on. Those are much easier things to do. Some people just aren't interested in getting in there and getting dirty and cutting off all the brackets and grinding it, making it look nice. We're gonna make it look like factory. You'll never even be able to tell that. I mean, if you look at this frame, you know, this one was powder coated. That's also another option. We can deliver the frame back to you, you know, just right after it's welded, and you can do all the rest. All of these things can save you money depending on how much you are or aren't willing to do. Typically, you'd have to talk to my sales guys, but I'm gonna guess, you know, if you want us to do all the labor to install all the brackets on the axles and the frame, you're looking at like 10 grand. So it takes about 2 weeks of work to do all that. So just keep that in mind. So, you know, if you want to save some bucks, you know, you can do it yourself if you got all the tools.
You got like 2 minutes left. I don't know if you wanted to actually like
look at the rest of the components.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Do we have any like super important questions? Or we?
Well,
Okay.
all in questions are important. But
Yeah.
you can also address them after.
Okay, and I wanted to make sure that I got through the important slides. Front cross member, which we're going to look at here on the phone, the rear cross member, the rear shock tower. So this is a good example while we were talking about how we cut out just enough of the inner fender well so you can get in there and finish all the welds. But, you know, look at that thing. It's beautiful. It's all gusseted. It's got the bump stop built in. That's a great shot right there. And then, yeah, so that's our last shot. All right, let's, Alex, let's start in the front here. And we're gonna talk about a couple of things here. So first off, we're showing a couple of options here, and that is our chromoly steering, which is high steer, and it's super thick wall. Great upgrade. It comes with an arm that's already got the bung welded in it for the drag link, and it also comes with the Heims. We just didn't pull all those parts. The next item here in this range right here is those LS motor mounts that I showed you just a minute ago. So it comes with both sides, the block side and the frame side, and it comes with these templates that you literally screw together with the bolts that are provided, and that locates these in the exact right location. Then you've got the front cross member. So the front cross member goes into these plates. So these literally, this hole locates on a factory hole. You drop this down right on top of the frame, and that sets inside there. This gets bolted through, super beefy. This is all the frame side connections on one bar right here. Your front cross member, again, welded by, you know, our artists here to that do this all day long.
Literally what's on Terramoto.
Yeah, this is, yeah, literally what's on Terramoto. That, yeah, race KOH and has been, you know, thrashing for 8 years. So shock towers, exact same thing, only locates in one spot. This also keys into this. So this whole thing gets mounted together, the bump can. So again, only goes in one spot, comes with the limit strap tab, and all of this keys together right on the actual shock tower. So it makes it pretty easy, and you can't get it wrong. We showed you the heavy duty, I mean, this thing is really heavy duty, front frame side track bar mount that goes over those two steering box holes. So another crucial piece as far as I'm concerned in the track bar, because it's double shear, it's got an upsized grade 8 bolt, and then on the axle side, it's a 3/4 inch bolt. You know, I make sure that that's super beefy. We've got the engine skid. This works for both the LS and the 3.6 liter V6. So the engine's up here, transmission's right here. So you're covering both. Again, 1/4 inch thick, super beefy transmission mount right here. All the hardware that you'd need. These are the upper rear mounts. So these actually go right about here. So you've got your 4-link here with this cross member. So these mount onto the frame. This goes to the bottom of the frame and then creates that rear section.
That's double triangulated.
This is double triangulated, yeah. So you've got, you know, it's crisscrossing, which we showed in the pictures. And again, same exact piece I've got on Terramoto. And then, of course, the rear cross member with shock towers all built in. This is super important how heavy duty this is, because what it requires is that you don't have to have a connection bar between the top two towers because of the way we built this, which means you get all the room in the back seat. So the seats still fold down, seats still fold up. You lose, it's about 2 inches on each side of the interior, not terrible. You still have the bulk of your space back there. And then, of course, if you get our big gas tank, it mounts behind this. And if you get the smaller ones, it mounts to the factory cross members. So that's kind of a good overview of all the parts. And like I say, these are all pre-welded sub-assemblies. This is exactly how it would come to you right out of the box. And you literally just start locating these things one after another. So again, this locates on a factory hole in the frame. This locates on a factory hole in the frame. I mean, we literally can't make this any easier. You just slide it over, that's the spot, weld it on. So pretty pretty darn nice. Yep. More questions?
We've got a question from top fan Mike Stewart on his 2015 two-door JK no stretch belly kit. Where would I mount the lower long arm? Side of the gram? And I don't know if he means arm.
He might mean arm. You know, and
gram,
some people mount it to the outside of the frame. I'm not a fan of that. We make a 5-inch stretch kit called our Extreme kit. This is the Elite for the JKU. We have the Extreme for the JK, and that's these same components, just squished down to fit the two-door. So, and that does a 5-inch stretch in the rear and a 2-inch in the front. So really nice. We've got pictures of that on the website too. Go to the gallery, click on JK, and you'll see them in there. Some of them are running 42s. So, yeah, take a good look.
We're pretty well caught up, and it's 5:05.
And we're after. Wow,
Yeah.
we've done good today. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully that gives you a better feel for whether you could do this in your garage or not. You absolutely could. I appreciate everybody for watching, and we will see you next Tuesday. Have a great weekend.